Tank is by far the easiest class to play in M6 because the boss fight is literally 2 coordinated AFK sessions, but if you're here, that means you need some help, so let's get into how to do it. First thing you're going to need is obviously a set of GOLDOR. 6 stars works fine, but if you could afford it, I would definitely recommend getting at least 7 to 8 stars because it just makes the boss fight so much easier. And speaking from experience, doing M6 with 6-star GOLDOR, not very fun, I'm not going to lie. For enchants, I would recommend Legion 5 if you can afford it, because Last Stand is kind of bad and you shouldn't be consistently dropping below 40% health and activating it anyways. Obviously, Get Growth 6 and Pros 6 and Hardened Mana or Mana Vampire are also semi-helpful to have applied. Now, before some guy goes in the comments and types, "Oh, but Mana Crown is actually better for healing, so you should get that instead of a Reaper Mask." Reaper Mask is better when using healing items, which you will be in M6 and 7, and on top of that, they're nerfing Vitality and Mending in the next update, so Reaper Mask is going to be the objective best anyway, so just get one now, save yourself the trouble. You should have at least Cat of 40 before trying to tank M6. I know it can be done at lower levels, but you're going to need to be a little sweaty to do that. If you do try to low cat and fail, well, don't come and say I didn't warn you. As for pets, you can just stick with the tried and true legendary blue whale. The pet item doesn't really matter as they patch knockback, so Shellman isn't actually needed anymore. The few random items you might need as well, most importantly a Bonzo Mask. This lets you avoid dying, which can happen in the boss because the giants have a lot of attacks that can take a big chunk of your health, and if you're not paying attention or you're just low on health, this can kill you pretty quick. You probably won't need it much, but in the cases when you do, it's super helpful to have and it's not even that expensive. Another thing you're going to want to have is a Gloomlock Grimoire, as it's one of the best healing items in the game for tank. Be careful when using this because if you left click while you're low, you will absolutely kill yourself. Learning to use this can be pretty hard. It took me a while, but once you get used to it, it is insanely good. Once again, this is not one of those things that you're going to need to be constantly spamming the entire boss fight, but when you do need it, it's really helpful to have. The Soul S Award is another helpful item to have, as it literally just makes you invincible for 5 seconds, but for some reason, it doesn't make you invincible to tank passive damage, so just keep that in mind. Now, you might not want to hear this, but you're going to want to have an Estrella. Now, it's not completely necessary, but the healing and defense this thing gives is really good, and on top of that, you're really going to need Wither Impact Absorption Hearts for the clear. Speaking of clearing, you'll need a clear set to actually contribute to the run. 3/4 Necron with 2 or 3 Master Shards usually works, but if you want more, you can feel free to get them. Also get a Diamond SADAN head with the same stats as your Necron. Now, you might be tempted to buy a gold head because it's so much cheaper, but just don't. Diamond heads are way better and you look like an absolute clown without one. A Precise Terminator on Fortuitous usually gets you 100 crit chance unless your magical power is terrible, in which case you should just go work on that. And Hasty is fine, but Precise is almost always better damage per second. Soul Eater is the easiest choice for an ultimate enchantment as it lets you one-tap just about everything, and it's also the cheapest option. Duplex is good, but it's significantly more expensive. It's also recommended to have 2 Terminators so you can have both enchantments, but not a lot of people can afford that. For a pet, go with either an Ender Dragon or a Golden Dragon. Neither of them need a Shellmet as the tank passive gives anti-KB, so just go with whatever pet item you want. But with all that out of the way, let's get into how to actually do the boss fight. When you get into the boss, stand in this little gap in the wall. The healer is going to be standing above you in fire to get his milestone so we can open a chest. So make sure you stand under him, otherwise he will burn to death, but not dying is majorly his responsibility, so you don't have to worry about it as much. After the terracotta phase is over, just go stand in the middle of the room so you can tank everyone's damage. I would recommend using Council Stone here, as this part of the fight usually lasts longer than SADAN's phase, but some people prefer to just use a Bonzo Mask and save Council Stone for SADAN. It's up to you. Right here I have a Bonzo Mask ready, and I'm keeping an eye on my health in case things go south. I don't usually need to use it, and you probably won't either, but better safe than sorry. After the giant phase, it's time to watch the absolute cinematic masterpiece that is SADAN coming out of a hole for the 1,000,000th time. Right here, use Wither Impact for the Absorption Hearts, or if you still have Absorption left from the Healer's Wish, you can just chill. And if you've not used your ultimate yet, use it now, or like I do in the clip, just use the Bonzo Mask. The giants stay for a second or two after SADAN is dead, which means you can still get killed after the run ends, which means you can accidentally lower the score or just have to open your chest in the dungeon hub, both of which are pretty annoying. With all that, you should be able to pretty easily tank M6, and if you can't, well, I don't know what to say other than skill issue.